Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners, to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, energized by Celsius. It is a Monday edition of the show, a new week, and we are going to try to wipe the slate clean of what was a deplorable performance by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over on the West Coast. So bad, the game stunk so much that there's reports that Tom Brady didn't even shower after the game, and he flew home smelling of that awful loss. So we'll finally put a bow on that game, talk about what's next for the Bucs as it's crunch time. They're trying to win the division and make the playoffs by, again, winning that NFC South and hosting a home game. So go figure. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is the face that runs the place over at pewterreport.com, Scott Reynolds. Scott, we talked about the game yesterday, and it's just lingering. The fans are fighting on social media.
Oh, yeah.
There's reports that Brady is withholding information from Byron Leftwich. I don't know how much I necessarily buy that. And it kind of feels like the sky is falling a little bit, and maybe this team just really isn't good.
Well, I don't think the Buccaneers are that good. At the same time, they're still in the driver's seat in first place in the NFC South. Now, that might change quickly, right? Because if the Buccaneers lose and the Panthers and the Falcons win, all of a sudden you've got a three-way tie for first place in the NFC South. So it's kind of crazy that that this division is so crappy, yet there's three teams right in the thick of the crappiness and waiting to see who will be the king of the crap this year in the NFC South. And I think this game is going to come down to the final two games of the year, right, at home in that season finale against the Carolina Panthers. And I wonder if the Buccaneers are going to break out their pewter uniforms for that.
Well, are they going to wear that? Like,
I don't know.
Heck? I've been waiting for it. We're rocking pewter today on the show for those watching on YouTube. I've been waiting for that jersey. You know what? They haven't been winning much in any of their other combinations, whether it's white jersey and pewter pants or red jersey and white pants, whatever it is. Have not been doing well on the field. So why not switch it up and go pewter? Remember, they wore the pewter when they beat the Broncos 2 seasons ago.
That's true.
They did wear it when they lost to the Rams last season, but they at least played a lot better than they have this year, even in winning.
That's a fact.
Even in winning moments. So.
They got over 20 points in that game against the Rams. So I'm with you on that. I'm wearing a long sleeve pewter shirt today, Matt, and the reason for that is because I'm bracing for the Arctic cold front that's going to come to Florida later this weekend. It's winter is coming, as they say in Game of Thrones, and also in Tampa, Florida. This is going to be a cold game where temperatures are plummeting. Might give the Bengals an advantage in this game, Matt. Not that they
of course
need
of
one.
all the teams they're playing, it's a cold weather team that's used to the weather at this point.
Exactly. So. On Sunday, the forecast right now is 62 degrees. Ooh, I'm just like getting a chill just thinking about that. 62 degrees for the high on Sunday. That's right, not the low, the high. The low is supposed to be 45 degrees. So with this game being a 4:25 start, it's going to be sundown pretty much right after kickoff. And can the Buccaneers win a cold weather game in their own stadium? It's probably going to dip down into the 50s, which if you're from Florida, that is Arctic temperatures. So I'm already preparing by wearing my long sleeve today to prepare me for the coming cold front this weekend.
It's good to get ahead of things. Yeah. I mean, the Bucs prepare all week long and then run the same plays on offense in the game. So it's like, do they really
that
prepare
they do,
at
Matt.
all?
That they do.
I want to give a shout out to Jonathan Frunze. Let's go with that. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. No comment with it. If you do want to comment in a little bit, we will put that up on the screen here. But thanks nonetheless for the super chat. Speaking of putting things up on the screen, want to remind everyone that at 4:20 today, so about 14 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have some roll call.
Roll call.
Where you at, Pewter people? We want to know, because we have so many awesome fans of pewterreport.com, the Pewter people, as we like to call you. We want to know where you're watching from because our fans are watching from all over the place, from the United States, East Coast, West Coast, international as well. We have awesome fans around the globe, and whether the Bucs are playing good, whether the Bucs are playing bad, you guys show up for every single episode. So we want to show a little love to you guys by putting your comment up on the screen, telling us where you were watching from. So at 420, one of us will start talking, going on a rant, or
it might be me today. I've got some things to say.
That's totally cool. And I'll put the comments on the screen where you guys are watching from. So just remember that at 420 in 13 minutes from now. Start doing roll call because we got great fans all over the place, and we want to display that to everyone watching. So
the only thing better than doing roll call on Mondays is when it takes place during a victory Monday. We can't control that. That's not up to Matt and I. If it was, I'm not saying that we could call better plays than Byron Leftwich, although I'm not saying we couldn't, Matt. There's a big distinction there. I'm not saying we couldn't. But yes, we love doing roll call because honestly, that's why we do these podcasts. It's for you guys, the Pewter people. It's just another way for us to kind of make that direct connection with you guys, the fans of Pewter Report and of your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where we can interact with you guys rather than just write stories. And we do read the article comments, except for the bad ones. We don't read those, but we do read the good ones. But we do read your good and bad comments, and we try to answer your good and bad questions. I don't think you guys have bad questions. I think even if the questions are kind of negative, they're still really good. Because honestly, and this is more about you guys, the Pewter people, than us, the Pewter reporters. But you guys are the most intelligent Buccaneer fans out there. You really are.
Without question.
Not all of you, but like 99% of you are really, really smart. And we appreciate the absolute heck out of you guys. So thank you very much for tuning in every time we do a Pewter Report podcast, and also on our Pewter Game Day shows as well.
Yeah, absolutely love you guys. We got a couple super chats we're going to get to in a moment, but first we're going to talk about our presenting sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast, Celsius Energy Drinks, a variety of different flavors. Scott, you were talking about the Arctic weather that's coming. That's fitting because Arctic Vibe is my personal favorite flavor of Celsius Energy Drinks.
I had one this morning.
There you go. Wow, the Arctic Vibe. That's just the theme for today's show because obviously the Bucs offense has gone frozen. So
ice cold.
They've gone ice cold. But you can't go wrong with the Arctic, the peach, or the tropical vibes. There's a variety of different flavors. I've been rocking the watermelon berry a lot recently.
Oh, there you
go. So that's a great flavor there. A ton of variety of different flavors. So make sure you check it out. There's 7 essential vitamins, which is the key. It's a healthy version of an energy drink. And almost more importantly, 0 sugar or preservatives. So you're not getting that post energy drink crash that you get with other products out there. It's a great thing to have instead of coffee. If you want to get rid of coffee in the morning, have a Celsius energy drink.
That's what I
definitely helps you out there. Yeah, there you go. Scott has done it. Blaine Gabbert has substituted it as well. So definitely would recommend that. If you want to find a Celsius and you don't know where there might be one, that's totally fine. Go to the Celsius store locator on their website, punch in your address, and you'll find out where there's one near you, whether it's a local convenience store, a bodega, or some other chain stores over there. They're popping up all over the place. I can literally go across the street and get a Celsius right now if I wanted to. I won't because I'm doing the podcast and I want to interact with the Pewter people. And then once you love Celsius, you want to start buying it in bulk and you want to skip the process of having to leave and go out and get it and bring it back. Just go to Amazon, do the subscribe and save, and have it sent to your house or apartment in bulk every 1, 2, or 3 weeks whenever you want. I would recommend getting the variety because variety is nice alone. And about great flavors that there are. So why not try as many as you possibly can? So once again, just do us a favor. Drink Celsius energy drinks. Tweet them at us if you have it. Hashtag Celsius Lift.
We love those
hashtag
comments.
Celsius Energy. Yeah. Love the comments. Love interacting with the fans on there when you guys are posting it. So let's get to a couple of super chats that I mentioned before that. Leo here. Thanks as always, Leo. Always giving us a super chat. Report from Stroud about Joel Glazer. He's pissed. I have not seen this report. I can imagine, though, that ownership isn't happy with the fact that the team is underperforming and what could be Tom Brady's last season. So I have not seen that report from Rick, but obviously he's a very well-connected guy like we are as well. So that's all I really got to say about that
Yeah,
one.
I'm the same way. Haven't seen it, but obviously know Rick. He's a colleague of ours, works for the Times, and certainly certainly dialed in and connected. With the team as well.
Yeah.
We have sometimes the same sources, sometimes different sources, but yeah. I mean, listen, the Blazers can't be happy, right? I mean, nobody's happy. Todd Bowles isn't happy. Tom Brady's not happy. So that's just it right now.
Lawrence Lowe, thank you for the $5 super chat. Can we just lose the rest of the game so we can get a premium pick in the draft? I'm over this trash. Well, even if they lose out, they still have 6 wins. So, I mean, the Texans
they
pretty
still
much
could win the NFC South.
Yeah.
Like 6-11.
Right.
No, actually, I don't think they can. I think if they didn't win out another game, I think the Panthers would win the division.
Yeah, I think the Panthers. I just looked up their schedule
because even if the Panthers lose out, and technically they would have to beat the Buccaneers, because if the Bucs lost out, the Panthers would go 1-3 down the stretch.
Yeah, the Panthers
they would still win the division because they would have the tiebreaker sweep over the Buccaneers.
Yeah, they play the Steelers this week, who just lost Kenny Pickett. Then they play the Lions, who seem to be the hottest team in football. Right. Then the Bucs, and then they end the season with the Saints. So would get another division win there for them. But yeah, I mean, even if they lose out, you're getting a pick and you're missing out on the quarterback sweepstakes in general. I mean, just looking at some records across the rest of the league, like the Rams. Well, the Rams don't even have their first round pick.
Right.
They gave that to Detroit. So Detroit's coming up huge. They're playing well on the field, and they're going to get the Rams pick off the field. The Bears have 3 wins. They don't need a quarterback, though. The Saints have 4 wins. You look at the AFC, obviously the Texans that I mentioned. The Broncos won't be looking for a quarterback because they're handcuffed to Russell Wilson. Yeah. So you know what? And the Colts with 4 wins, they're obviously looking for their quarterback of the future. The Bucs do lose out. There's a couple teams there that can't really pick a quarterback based on their current quarterback situation. Right. I'm not saying they should do that.
You don't have to draft a quarterback in the first round. By God, man, the 49ers picked one with the last pick in the draft.
Yeah,
and he beat Tom Brady. So
and he looked all pro. So
yeah, he did. He looked really good, actually. Sometimes your comments are just funny, and when I see them and they're funny, I'm just going to put them out there. I don't agree with this, but that's a funny comment. It just is, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah, shout out Hayden Panettiere. She went on to be a pretty famous actress. So yeah,
Hayden Panettiere, right? Yeah. But we do need some levity. We do need some comedy because I don't say these are dark times. My gosh, man, they're 6-7. They should be better. They're still in the thick of this thing, which is crazy. But I will drink to get sober over Donovan's. Oh, you guys, I'm sorry. I'm just going to take a second here to find more funny comments, because I know you guys are not letting us down today by any means.
We're having a comedy hour, which is great.
Yep. I saw another good one here too. Yeah, I mean, here's the super chat. This is always good. From Stank Bastard too. He's always funny.
Stank.
Evidently, Tom Brady didn't shower for the game and flew back to Tampa with swamp ass. Thoughts? Yeah.
Hey, if you're gonna stink on the field, you might as well maybe sending a message. We're gonna stink on the field, then we're gonna stink on the plane ride home. I was saying that on Ronnie and T-Kraz. Yeah, like that's circulated air on that plane. So
yes, that's true.
Brady might be the one that stunk on the plane, but the whole team is getting affected by that. So that's a long flight home too. That's like a 5-6 hour flight. So.
Oh yeah, that's not from the Midwest. That's from the West Coast. So yes, we appreciate the $4.99 super chat there, Stank. And I've got no problems with that. I think that let's see here. Whoops, that was not it. Here we go. Devin Tompkins. I asked, speaking of stink and stank, I asked Todd Bowles today in the Zoom press conference what he liked. What was the positive from this? And honestly, I thought he was going to give a little bit of love to Anthony Nelson. I'm not going to lie. Right. He was the highest graded PFF player for the Buccaneers. I think he had like an 89 grade game, something like that. He had, I think, 9 tackles in the game, a forced fumble. Took out Deebo Samuel, unfortunately. Not that we want to see anybody get hurt, but I thought Nelly played a really good game. He's in a contract year, and I don't think he's going to cash in on it necessarily. He might be back in Tampa. I would re-sign him for a 1-year deal on the cheap, or maybe a small multi-year deal. But he hasn't played well enough to really earn a starting role, but to come back. But that's what Todd Bowles said. He mentioned Devin Tompkins. He said Devin Tompkins was. He didn't say it was the lone bright spot, but it was the only bright spot he mentioned. He thought that he did a really good job, a 54-yard kickoff return and averaging 10.5 yards per punt return, so no drop off at all from Jalen Darden, who would run 10 yards to run out of bounds and find the closest sideline to run to. But I'd like to see Devin Tompkins at wide receiver too. The guy's a playmaker, and I think if there's a damning moment in all of this, it's the Buccaneers end up making the right move. It's just a lot later than it should be and needs to be. And by that, I mean Luke Gedeke out at left guard, Nick Leverett in. Right,
If Gedeke didn't get hurt, who even knows if Nick Leverett gets to play?
Yeah, exactly. Then you've got this move here, which obviously in just one game, you clearly see the difference about how good Devin Tompkins is, how much better he is. Right, over Jalen Darden. And I think whoever the next offensive coordinator will be next year for the Buccaneers will be better than Byron Leftwich. But it probably should have happened at the bye week this week. I kind of know why it didn't happen. I can't really say that now. I will say it in a couple of weeks. I'm already writing the story. But the guy that I'd like to see, and I wrote about it in the Monday morning mailbag, was Todd Monken. I think I've said in the podcast too. I'd love to see Todd Monken back here. So we'll get into that much later, but I think
that would be a lot of fun. The only thing I'll say, and then I want to get to Les's super chat because we have roll call coming up, and then this chat will get unfortunately lost in the shuffle with all the fans putting their location. The one thing I'll say is I would like to see Tompkins at receiver, but where exactly do you get him on the field? Because you're not taking Mike or Chris off. Julio Jones has played very well since he's gotten healthy, and Russell Gage is easing his way back in. So sure, you could replace easing his way.
I replace Russell Gage.
Playing great.
I'd replace Russell Gage.
And then Scotty, listen, Scotty's a one-trick pony, but he's been getting open. Tom Brady just hasn't hit him. And then he had the big catch against the Saints last week. So I'm down to give Devin Tompkins an opportunity, but I think they're going to be few and far between just based on who's in front of him. But Les, thank you for the $5 super chat. Brady was under and overthrowing his receiver. Seriously, could he actually be hurt? We got this question yesterday, but appreciate the question nonetheless, because not everyone gets to watch every show. I get it. He hit his hand on the helmet of 49ers player. I don't know if he's necessarily 100%, but he still has the arm strength to make the throws that he's made. And if we're going to praise him for some of the throws that he has with zip, then we got to get, we can't just make an excuse for when he has a bad throw.
That's right. Matt, he's 45. He is not 100% at all. I'll just tell you that. At age 50, and I don't get hit or sacked or chased for a living, I'm not 100%. Even with age rejuvenation. Once you hit 50, you're never 100% anymore, and 45 is close enough. He can do all the TB12 he wants to do. I'm sure it helps. Obviously, it does. But he's not 100% healthy. Remember, he got hit in the shoulder earlier this year, the hand, twice now. So he's hurt. But you know what? It's December football, man. You find me an NFL player who's not hurt right now playing. That's part of the game. It's like, are you hurt? If you're hurt, you're going to play. Or are you injured? And if you're not hurt, you're injured, then you're not playing, right? That's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. I see right now it is 4:20 on the clock, ladies and gentlemen. That means it is time for some, where's the graphic? Roll call. Tell us where you're at, Pewter people. Where are you watching this show from? As we said before, we have awesome fans from all over the globe, really, from America to international spots as well. So, Scott, you said that you have something that you might want to talk about during this roll call session right here. So, if you will, please, the floor is yours, and I will start putting everyone's location up on the screen. And then we're going to get to some super chats after roll call.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems this year with the Buccaneers, obviously they lost a lot of talent, right? They lost Ali Marpet and Rob Gronkowski to retirement. Antonio Brown, did the piece out at the end of last year. Alex Kappa left in free agency, so did Jordan Whitehead. Jason Pierre-Paul just kind of got too old, same with Ndamukong Suh. But they've lost a lot of talent. And the problem with the Buccaneers this year is the existing talent, even some of the higher paid players, Shaq Barrett before he was hurt, Carlton Davis, who always seems like he's a little hurt this year, and Donovan Smith, they're not playing well. These are some of the highest paid Buccaneer players. Mike Evans, Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, they're just not playing well. So the Buccaneer stars that are making a lot of money have not really been earning their paychecks. And it's been crazy because it hasn't been just one or two players. It's kind of been like across the board. But obviously the bigger concern right now is left tackle Donovan Smith, right? He's not having a good year, an awful year, actually. And he's coming off of his best year last year. And he played pretty well down the Super Bowl stretch in that final 4 games of the regular season, then and also in the postseason. So who's going to replace Donovan Smith? And I say that because I think he's going to be back next year, but I don't know if that's a certain. The Buccaneers can save some cap room. They will take a $7.5 million cap hit, and left tackles don't grow on trees. But Donovan will be 30 next year, and he's just had this up and down roller coaster of a career here in Tampa. And does this team know that he's going to play better next year? He's going through some personal stuff this year that might sort itself out, and he might have a better year next year. But boy, can you count on that? Even if Tom Brady decides he wants to come back to Tampa Bay and play one more year, can you trust Donovan Smith after such a bad year with holding penalties, a bad false start yesterday, sacks allowed? I think it's time for this team, and I wrote about this in my 2-point conversion column, which I'll post in a minute, for them to consider moving Tristan Wirfs from right tackle to left tackle next year. This is a player that is the best offensive lineman ever in Tampa Bay in terms of athletic talent and also accolades as an All-Pro and a Pro Bowler. Tristan has the ability, the athleticism, the size to play on the left side. It's so much easier to find right tackles in the draft, Matt, and in free agency than it is left tackles. And so they've already have their future left tackle in-house, in my opinion. And I think that they should look at possibly moving Tristan Wirfs from right tackle to left tackle next year and really bolster that position. They're going to have to end up paying him a contract extension at some point. Go ahead and make the move. Let him get used to it in the offseason and maybe part ways with Donovan Smith, or maybe look at Donovan Smith as a right tackle. Maybe flip those guys. But the blind side of Tom Brady or whoever the quarterback's going to be next year is just too important to leave up the chance. And you can't have these penalties and sacks allowed that Smith has given up this year. I don't know if you can trust Donovan Smith next year, but I do trust Tristan Wirfs. Put him at the premium position on the offensive line, the left tackle spot. He played a couple of games there at Iowa, didn't miss a beat when they had some injuries there. I think that was his sophomore year at Iowa. And it's a move that I think the Bucs have to consider making. One last thing, too. We were chatting with John Ledyard, former Pewter reporter, who was still part of our group chat. We like to talk football with him, and he had a great idea. Maybe re-sign Keanu Neal and look at him as a linebacker. He did not have a good game as a safety yesterday. He's more of a physical player, a pretty good blitzer when he's not hitting the quarterback in the helmet. But he's effective in and around the box in that 12-yard short, intermediate, shallow type of coverages. You can get away with Keanu Neal, but once you go 15 yards, 20, 25 yards down the field, it's not really his forte. I know he made that big, huge splash play against Taysom Hill, but that's more of the outlier, not the norm for Keanu Neal. And so a couple of position switches I'm just throwing out there for next year. We got one eye on the Buccaneers this year and also looking ahead a little bit, but maybe re-sign Keanu Neal. He seems like a Todd Bowles type player despite not playing well yesterday. And maybe look at him as a potential successor to Lavonte David, because I think he can play that Mo backer. You've got the Mike backer, which is Devin White's position, which is that middle linebacker. Then you got the Mo backer, which is that nickel weak side linebacker that Lavonte David has played. And, it's crazy to think, Matt, Lavonte recovered that fumble, right?
Yep.
There it is. That's the first takeaway Lavonte David has had all year. This is a splashy player that would come up with interceptions, pick six sometimes, fumble recoveries, forced fumbles. It's crazy to think it has taken 13 games for Lavonte David to come up with a takeaway. And if he's going to come back for one more year in Tampa, and I think the Bucs would certainly be open to it, because right now the cupboard is bare behind him.
Right.
KJ Britt is not a starting caliber linebacker, but Matt, he's going to have to come back on a pay cut, right? If he comes back.
Yeah, Lavonte David has played solid. He's been Mr. Reliable in terms of just fundamentals and, confidence that he can make tackles and things like that. But the lack of splash plays that we always talk about, and thank you to Eric for the $5 super chat or super sticker, as he says. Those splash plays just aren't happening anymore. Yeah. I mean, even last season, granted, he was playing with a foot injury towards the end of that year, but he's just not getting takeaways anymore. Yeah. And he's old, reliable, but right now he's just old, in terms of his NFL career. Just to comment on some of the other things that you said, and I thought it was a really good. Was it a speech? I guess good take, I guess I should say, about Donovan Smith and Keanu Neal. Keanu Neal's played linebacker before. It didn't totally work, but as Josh Capo was saying in our group chat, Todd Bowles can make anyone into a linebacker. That's true. As Scott rocks the tropical vibe right there. Yep. But the Tristan Wirfs thing, I mean, there had been whispers about it, like when he got drafted, of should they move him to left tackle, because Donovan Smith was not a sure thing at that time. When they first got Tom Brady, and there was talks of maybe they should move him, and they didn't, and obviously it worked out. Yeah. He has played there before, as you said. Tristan did say this year in the locker room, he said that, going from one side of the line to the other, it's kind of like if you're wiping your ass with your strong hand and then you switch to your other hand. I thought it was a very specific answer, but it kind of made sense. So I think in the offseason, you have all that time to practice it. And I think Tristan Wirfs is the ultimate. I think there's anyone else on the roster that I trust more than Tristan Wirfs to get his job done. So
I agree.
If that means switching him and then they start looking at tackles in this draft or whatever it is, that's fine. But you have to solidify your left tackle. It's the most important position. And Donovan's penalties are literally costing them points. It happened yesterday's game. It happened on the Chris Godwin touchdown that was negated. It's happened multiple times. I believe a touchdown possibly in the game against the Ravens was called back on a Donovan penalty, or a play that got them, in first and goal inside the 5. So this has been a trend. It's not just not just one thing out of the norm.
Yeah. And the thing is, you're right. And Donovan has just had that up and down roller coaster of a career before kind of getting his act together in 2020. And then you think, okay, maybe he's matured. He's older. Tom Brady's here, right? It took him a while. He finally kind of crossed that bridge, but now we're back to, 2016, 2017 Donovan. And it just, you reach a point where can you trust him? And that's the thing. Listen, the four most important positions in football, and this is kind of old school, but I still think it applies to today, Matt. I know you maybe you need that game breaking wide receiver, but really it used to be quarterback, right? You need that superstar quarterback to really build a franchise and win a Super Bowl. The number 2 position is your left tackle, the guy to protect that quarterback. Your number 3 position of importance is that pass rusher, that edge rusher to get after the quarterback and affect the quarterback. And then number 4, that stud cornerback that can kind of be an eraser and take away a game's number 1 wide receiver. Yeah. And maybe 4, if that's 4A, maybe 4B now in this day and age with the passing game being so prominent, is that stud star wide receiver, right? That's probably the 4 or 5 most important positions, but left tackle still number 2, maybe even more important than ever, given the fact how the NFL is just such a passing down. You got to be able to be a premier pass protector at the left tackle position. Teddy with the $5 super chat.
Thank you, Teddy.
Safe to say Arians' consultant role would end next year after Leftwich is gone, just to start fresh and remove some loyalty bias from the building. I think that's going to happen. I would be all in favor of that. I think that right now it is a dysfunctional cluster, at One Buccaneer Place right now. You have torn allegiances in that building. You have you have Bruce Arians in the building, who's like best friends with Jason Light, who wanted Todd Bowles to be his head coach successor, but who loves Byron Leftwich and still thinks after all this year's crap that he can still be a good play caller and be a good head coach somewhere. And it's a dysfunctional situation right now. And I think that Arians should retire to Lake Oconee. I love Bruce, absolutely love him. I have nothing against him. He served this team well. But if you're going to turn this team over to Todd Bowles, turn it over to him and get out of the way. And I think Byron is not long for Tampa.
And it doesn't help that, like, even when the Bucs went on the 2-game winning streak and then Bruce gets interviewed and he's like, Tom hasn't been playing well. That's why they've been losing. It's like, do we need that right now? And I'm sure it'll happen again. The next time there's a big issue. And, if you're there to consult behind the scenes, Right. Again, we appreciate everything Bruce Arians has done. I'm not knocking him for really anything. It's just, it would be too awkward too if Byron Leftwich isn't there next season. He gets fired by Todd Bowles, and Bruce is going to stay there. Obviously, there's already dysfunction that's only going to make the relationship even more strained between Todd Bowles and Bruce Arians. So
agreed.
Matt here with the $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Matt, and love your name. Great name. He says, "Hey Scott," so he's talking to you.
Okay.
Do you think if the Bucs miraculously get to the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl? Sorry, I'm laughing even thinking of that. But again, appreciate the question.
Yeah.
Do you think Byron Leftwich will be the offensive coordinator next season? Good hypothetical.
Yeah. I'm going to say no. No. Because even if they make the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl, they're still going to be scoring less than 17 points, and they'll get there on the strength of the defense and Tom Brady. And it would be a game at very much like the Saints game, 17-16, or the Rams game where it's a defensive slugfest and Brady leads them to a game-winning touchdown at the end. That's the only way I see this team winning. There's just so much dysfunction on the offensive side of the ball that I would be shocked if this team scores more than 21 points in any of their games remaining. I really would. Matt, what do you think about this?
I think it would have to be like the only way the Bucs get to the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl is like extreme old school football.
It would be like in spite of Leftwich in the offense, right?
Exactly. Like the Bucs win 17-14, and like there's a defensive touchdown and a muffed punt, or something like that. And I don't see a situation where the Bucs are able to consistently move the ball against opponents, especially they would have a road game after the initial home game, unless like there's a crazy amount of upsets. So you're likely going to Philly, in the second playoff game,
right?
And that's just going to be absolutely horrendous.
You're not going to win.
But if the offense does play well, then the Bucs are in a tough spot of like, the offense is looking good. But with that said, I don't think anyone thought that the Titans were going to get rid of their GM, and that happened out of the blue. So there's been coaches, coaches that have left after winning seasons. So wouldn't exactly rule it out. Paul with the $20 super chat.
Man,
thank you so much.
Through with the super chats.
Thank you. Thank you very much. He says, "Can you explain how Bruce Arians leaving has such a dramatic effect on the coaching? Was he really involved in the offensive planning? Did he prevent the bad kind of personnel decisions that have been made this year?" Great question.
Yeah. He was not really involved in the offensive planning. Matter of fact, I think Bruce is being exactly 100% correct when he says it wasn't me, it was Byron, right? He was giving Byron a lot of credit during the 2020 Super Bowl season, even last year too. That's legitimate. Bruce had very little to do with the offense. And matter of fact, that's one thing that kind of shocked Tom Brady when he came down here after talking to, Peyton Manning, who played under Bruce. That was his first quarterbacks coach in the NFL. I think Brady thought he was going to get the quarterback whisperer, Matt. And he was a little shocked when he found out how hands off Arians was with the offense and even with the quarterback position. I mean, Arians was really a figurehead, and to his credit, did a very good job. But at the same time, it really wasn't. I mean, Leftwich was calling the plays. Don't get me wrong, but as I said in the podcast last night, and I'm not going to repeat myself too much. I've said it before. but it bears repeating. The Buccaneers out-talented people on the offensive side of the ball. When you've got those 3 Pro Bowlers up front blocking for the best quarterback at picking out the mismatch, pre-snap read, reading the coverage, and already knowing where he wants to go with the ball before the ball is even snapped, Matt. That's so huge. And you had Mike Evans, a future Hall of Famer Rob Gronkowski, $20 million, 1,000-yard Pro Bowl wide receiver in Chris Godwin, and a guy with Hall of Fame credentials who's just an absolute jackass in Antonio Brown. You can't double all 4 of those guys. You can maybe take away 2 of those guys, but the other 2 are going to find, a nickel corner, a backup, safety, a linebacker. There's going to be a mismatch somewhere, and the Buccaneers literally out-talented people for 2 years. And now Gronk's gone, Marpet's gone, Jensen's hurt, Wirfs is out, AB is gone, Kappa's gone, and the rest of the guys that are here, Smith's playing like crap, Evans is not in sync with Brady, Godwin's still not back 100% from his knee injury, right? And Julio really has been hurt and hasn't panned out. Russell Gage certainly hasn't panned out. Cade Otton's a rookie. Cam Brate can't play anymore. So the talent isn't there to take advantage of these plays. And you could give the talent the Buccaneers had, honestly, I believe this, to just about any offensive coordinator on any other NFL team. Just say, here are the Bucs starting 11 from 2020 or 2022 or 2021. And that offensive coordinator could get 30 points in whatever system. That's just how good they were. And now
they really,
with half the talent, they just can't get it done. So I know BA's gone, but I don't think that the magic left the building when BA left. I think the magic left the building when Marpet retired and Gronkowski left and Kappa and Whitehead left. And, and Shaq Mason's been an okay replacement. So it's kind of like an even wash, but, they still haven't found a third receiver to come anywhere close to AB when he was like focused on playing good football.
Yeah, the more you look back at it with the 2020 and 2021 season, that, especially offensively, but defensively to a degree as well, that really was a super team. That was as close to a super team that you'll get in the NFL. And, you say timing is everything. BA, not that I think he purposely planned to do this, but BA got out at the right time. Whether he planned for it or not, I don't think that he did. But the dominoes started all falling apart this offseason, starting, as you said, Scott, with Ali Marpet retiring. I think it's important to point out, too, the difference between Bruce and Todd Bowles is, Bruce comes in there, he has a resume. He has an aura about him, as we just lost Scott here. That's all right. I'll keep the I'll keep the train rolling for now. BA came in. He was already coach of the year multiple times. He coached Peyton Manning and Big Ben and Carson Palmer. He earned that nickname, the quarterback whisperer. So he came in with an aura on this team, not maybe to the degree of Tom Brady. And then you have the honeymoon phase. Remember, they came in 2019, so you had Jameis there for a year. And then you almost had a second honeymoon phase with Tom Brady coming in, and it changed the landscape of everything that went on. So you almost had 2 honeymoon phases right then and there. But you take that out, this is what, 4th year now with essentially the same coaching staff? I'm not saying it's falling on deaf ears at all, but there's not that same, start and uptick that you would get with a brand new head coach in there. So those are some of the differences really between, having Bruce Arians in the building as a coach versus the consultant that he is now, and Todd Bowles that you have going on there. As you guys see, Scott is back, took a little break. Maybe he went to go have a Pirate Republic.
I wish.
Yeah, you just have the Celsius, so
yes.
Probably not the case. But of course, by the way, shout out to everyone during the roll call today. Had some awesome fans. Saw one in South Korea. There's another one from the Nassau Bahamas. Or
awesome.
Nassau Bahamas, I should say, where, of course, is where Pirate Republic is from. And they're invading Florida now during football season and the holiday season. Could be a great gift for friends and family. Who doesn't like a 6-pack of beer? or a 12-pack. Beer brings people together to celebrate life. That means celebrating life in the spirit of the original pirate code, and that's a sense of belonging. A Pirate Republic is a community of people living life on their terms. There's the Long John Pilsner. It's a perfect beer for tailgating or having fun at the beach in the Florida sun. That's in the red can that you see on the screen. You also have the Take No Quarter IPA. It's the best IPA that you'll drink. 7.2 ounces or percent of alcohol in there. So kind of a one and done if you want that. You can also drop an orange slice in the Golden Haze of Piracy Belgian wit beer that's in the gold can and enjoy that pirate life. Pirate Republic beer is available at participating retailers like Total Wine and More, Lucan's Liquors, Party Liquors, and select ABC liquor stores in the greater Tampa Bay area, and they are expanding across the state of Florida. I get my Pirate Republic at the ABC liquor store. So live life on your terms and drink like a pirate with Pirate Republic beer, the official beer of pewterreport.com.
Yep. We love it. It's good stuff. Had some last night, having Celsius today. Second one. It's just, late night last night and working hard and had the Arctic vibe really, now having a tropical vibe. But I did have the Golden Haze of Piracy last night. So good stuff.
Very nice. Very nice. Let's get to a couple more comments here. Again, appreciate everyone that was joining us today. Had a lot of great super chats, which is truly awesome. And speak of that, right on time, we get another super chat from the No Time for Feelings podcast, $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much. People saying Brady done till he leaves us next year and will go win a Super Bowl with the Raiders. He's been linked to the Raiders a ton. Part of it is because UFC president Dana White said that it was essentially a done deal. If I'm Tom Brady, and I get it, Josh McDaniels is there, longtime offensive coordinator. They were linked together with the Patriots. I don't know if that's the best fit for Brady, just in terms of that's a pretty tough division out there. You got Mahomes, you got to play twice. The Broncos have a tough defense. The Chargers, obviously, with Justin Herbert, he's going to be there for over a decade as your starting quarterback. And the Raiders, you got Lavonte Adams. You got a solid pass rush with Max Crosby and Chandler Jones. But I don't know. I don't love that fit in Vegas.
I don't either. I put it in there when I wrote about this in my SR's Fat Five a couple weeks ago as a potential fit, just because of the McDaniels connection and the fact that Brady was linked out there. But I think that bridge has kind of been crossed. I think that ship has sailed. I believe if Tom Brady's going to come back, and I wrote about this today, I think it's going to be in Tampa. I don't know that the 49ers were that enthralled by Tom's performance yesterday. And I think Kyle Shanahan said, well, not that Brock Purdy's better than Tom Brady by any means, but Brock Purdy played pretty damn good yesterday and is a good fit for that system. They still have Trey Lance. I don't think they're going to give up on him. Maybe they will. Probably they should. But I don't know. His kids are on the East Coast. Giselle's got a place in Miami, and I think that's where the kids are. It's a hop, skip, and a jump on an airplane from Tampa to Miami. And then you've got his son Jack up in New York. I just don't see him out there by himself in Las Vegas. Unless he's out there partying with Gronk now that he's single. Maybe maybe Gronk will convince Brady to go out there and hit the strip and live it up now that he's single. I don't know. I wouldn't rule it out, but I don't think that's the favorite destination right now. A couple weeks ago, I thought that Brady was done with the Buccaneers, but just have a feeling that he might come back for one more year. And we'll see what happens. Still too early to tell. But, we were talking about the crunch time for the Buccaneers, and obviously their schedule. They've got the Bengals coming up this week. They've got after that, they go to the Arizona to play the Cardinals on Christmas. I'm very concerned about that game. The Bucs have not played well on the road this year outside of the first two road games of the season, really. Going to Dallas and winning, and then the Saints game. They just have not played well on the road. Matt, there's nothing exciting about spending Christmas Eve in a hotel room in Phoenix, right? Away from the kids and the family and all of that. Some of these guys are single, but and then having to wait all day on Christmas to play Christmas night. It's not fun. This team should be motivated. They should be excited. It's December football, but there's something about this team and some immaturity that makes me really worry about the Cardinals game. The Cardinals are not a world beater by any means. They're not having a great season, but that game is going to be a challenge for the Buccaneers. And then you've got, of course, the Panthers after that at home, Matt, for the home finale, and then they go on the road to Atlanta and play the Falcons in the season finale. And when you look at the last 4 games for the Carolina Panthers now, who also have a 3-1 record in the division, just like the Buccaneers do. The Falcons and the Saints are 1-3, but the Panthers will play host to the Steelers.
Yeah,
right?
Steelers, Lions, Bucs, and who's
and the Saints.
The Saints. Yeah.
So it's interesting, right? All of a sudden, the Detroit Lions are a hot team. They're winning games, right? The Steelers aren't dead yet. They lost a tough game to the Ravens, but the Steelers and the Lions, those are 2 tough games before playing the Buccaneers. And so these other teams, Detroit, Pittsburgh, they might help Tampa out with knocking the Panthers down a couple pegs, although they're playing really good football under Steve Wilks. The Falcons' schedule looks like this, and of course they're starting Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati, the Bearcat quarterback, with Marcus Mariota going on injured reserve. This is how their season plays out. They have 2 away games, then 2 home games. The away games are at New Orleans and then at Baltimore, who's down to their 3rd string quarterback now that Lamar Jackson's out and Huntley out there, backup quarterback. Then they will host the Cardinals on New Year's Day and then host the Buccaneers on January 8th. So when you look at the Falcons schedule, it's really going to all depend on how Desmond Ridder plays, right? If he plays like a rookie and that rookie is Brock Purdy, then they might be sitting Purdy. But if he plays more like a typical rookie quarterback, then maybe the Falcons, it might go 2-2, maybe 1-3 down the stretch with that record. We'll see. And then, of course, the Saints just to round out the NFC South. They're in a real tough spot because of their record and also their mark in the division. And they again will host the Falcons this week. Then they travel to Cleveland. That's going to be a cold game for the Saints, who play indoors, but that's going to be outside on Christmas Eve, Matt. Mm-hmm. So they're going to have a potential cold weather game, should be a very cold weather game, against the Cleveland Browns on December 24th. And then at Philadelphia, that's going to be another cold game back-to-back. That's going to be on New Year's Day. And then they finish at home against the Panthers. So I just don't see any way the Saints come anywhere close to running the table, which is pretty much what they'd have to do to win the division right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, they better hope that the Eagles have nothing to play for,
right,
on that New Year's Day game. Which, honestly, they might not. I mean, they only have 1 loss. The Vikings just lost this week and don't look as great. And I think the Cowboys are still close enough to chase them. So they probably will have something to play for. By the way, the Christmas games absolutely suck in terms of talent in this game. You have Packers-Dolphins, which, again, at the beginning of the season, okay, that's exciting, but clearly Packers have gone plummeting even worse than the Bucs have. Then you have Broncos-Rams. I mean, that is just vomit central there. And then Bucs versus Cardinals, 2 teams that have been struggling as well. So those games pretty much suck, but you can make them way more entertaining if you put a little money on them and pick some players with Underdog fantasy. Can't go wrong there. It makes the games way more exciting than they could have been if you were just watching straight up as a fan. Underdog fantasy is the easiest way to get some action on the NFL with their pick'em games and their rivalry games. You just choose an over-under on your favorite or least favorite player stats. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Underdog keeps it super simple with their easy-to-use website and mobile apps. You pick between 2 and 5 players to fill out your pick'em slip, get every pick right, and take home some cold hard cash. Use the promo code PEWTER, PEWTER, and get your first deposit doubled up to $100 by using Underdog Fantasy. Even if you learn from Plant City Math, you know that is a great deal, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, that is Underdog Fantasy, promo code Pewter. That's PEWTER. You don't even have to wait until Christmas. You can do the games tonight, which the Cardinals will be playing in. So if you're a Bucs fan, you should be interested because I'm not sure exactly what type of Cardinals team we're going to see tonight. Obviously, playing against the Patriots. It's the home game for Arizona. And you don't need to pick just football. You can do hockey, basketball. You can do the World Cup. I made some World Cup picks on Underdog Fantasy if you're into that. So a lot of different options over on Underdog Fantasy. Dave with a comment. Dave Wheelhauer. I think I got that right.
Yeah.
Schedule makers did Bucs no favors, making them go west after Monday Night Football. Yeah, not only that, but west 2 times in 3 weeks with the AFC champions mixed in there. Yeah, definitely tough at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like you're going to be playing the Bengals this Sunday, then going back to the West Coast, kind of with the Arizona game. So, yeah, I mean, I think if you're trying to help the Buccaneers out and you have these remaining games, maybe this yesterday should have been like a Panthers at home, right? And then, and then maybe like the week before you go to Atlanta, then maybe go to San Francisco for that is a tough West Coast road trip. Todd Bowles not making any excuses whatsoever, but yeah, that's a little challenging for sure.
Yeah, without question, it kind of reminds me of the first year with Bruce Arians, where the Bucs had the London game, and they essentially didn't have a game at Raymond James Stadium for like a month and a half because the London game was a home game. And like even the guy that makes the schedule, his name I'm forgetting right now, but even the guy that made the schedule was like, I wish I had that one back. So
he's like, sorry, I screwed the Bucs, but I did. Yeah.
Fast forward a couple of seasons, and now Todd Bowles is getting screwed in his first season coaching the Bucs. Definitely tough at the end of the year, but again, I don't think any of us predicted that the Bucs would be in this dogfight to win the division. No pun intended with Dave's dog on the screen there. Dave, thank you for the $5 super chat. Thanks for the great content, guys. Well, thank you for watching. We really appreciate it.
Yep. The Panthers defense looking scary. Yeah, I mean, all these cats are looking good right now, man. You get the Lions playing well, the Bengals playing well, and the Panthers playing well right now. Steve Wilkes done a very good job in Carolina. Marquise Haynes, who was a pass rusher out of Ole Miss, he was at the Senior Bowl a couple years ago, Matt. Not a couple years, probably 2018. Yeah, 2018, I think. I liked him a lot at Ole Miss. A big sack, forced fumble guy, really undersized pass rusher, but I think he would have been a great fit for this Todd Bowles defense. Just they ran a 4-3 back in 2018, not a 3-4. So he really wasn't on the Bucs radar. But he's been a player that's kind of really come on, 4 sacks in 4 games for them, and he's playing well. This Bucs defense has got to get with the takeaways and the interceptions to help this Buccaneer team. It's crazy. I was looking at some statistics. The Buccaneers have 7 interceptions last year. I'm sorry, 7 interceptions this year. They had 17 last year. They forced 8 fumbles, and they've recovered 5. And last year, I want to say they forced 12 fumbles and recovered 10. So they're just really behind the marker on these takeaways, and that's not helping this offense because this offense needs all the help it can get. It's not getting short fields. It's not getting an extra possession. Right? It's not the complementary football that Todd Bowles wants to play, and we've seen very, very few instances of it. Matt, we saw it in the fourth quarter of that Saints game, but we just haven't seen nearly enough complementary football.
Last year's Bucs offense would have been totally fine with this year's Bucs defense. Mm-hmm. But this year's Bucs offense desperately needs last season's Bucs defense. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And you talk about complimentary football and playing a full 4 quarters. I truly think the Bucs have only played 1 complete game this season, and that was when they beat the Seahawks in the Germany game. Outside of that, I don't think you can confidently say the Bucs have played full complimentary 4-quarter football, unless you want to say the Cowboys game, kind of.
Maybe,
but that's week 1. The Saints game, again, the offense didn't turn it on until the fourth quarter. I really just think it's the one game a couple weeks ago before the bye where the Bucs have really put it all together. And outside of that, this team has just looked lost offensively. They can't get anything going until the last second, and that's why they're in the situation that they're in.
Yeah, well, that sometimes sometimes it's almost too late, right? When you wait that long, it's almost too late. Gosh, that's almost what happened with me and my low testosterone. I waited. I should have had this taken care of years ago. I just turned 50 this year, and I was feeling it. Then I went to age rejuvenation, and I got a lot better.
As we age, our hormones decrease, both for men and women.
I was tired all the time, had no sex drive.
I was groggy.
I felt like I was 80 years old because everything hurt.
I came to age rejuvenation because I was tired all the time.
Bioidentical hormones has really made such an impact in people's lives.
I actually enjoy shopping now.
Got all my energy back.
Mind is sharp.
I feel like I'm 18 again.
It was perfect for me.
Get with age rejuvenation. Do it now. Don't wait.
Call Age Rejuvenation today.
Matt, if you go back and listen to some of the old Pewter Report podcasts that I did back in the offseason, we were doing the draft coverage, right? What did I say? Well, this team probably going to be drafting Logan Hall with their first pick in the draft. If you go to pewterreport.com's mock draft, we've got Logan Hall in there. We also have got this running back, Rashad White. The Bucs will probably draft him in the third round. And that was true. That was good analysis. We actually nailed those picks in our mock draft. But the problem, Matt, is I sounded terrible, right? Because I was old. And now I feel young. And the reason why is because I got testosterone therapy at age rejuvenation. That's right. Turn back time, as Cher would say. I'm feeling much better. I dropped some pounds, and not just weight on the scale, but actual pounds of fat because of my metabolism. It's just been boosted. It's fantastic. I feel like I'm 40 rather than 50. And I got my testosterone checked out at age rejuvenation. I highly encourage you to go to agerejuvenation.com. There's not a better time than right now, right? Because you're going to have your New Year's resolutions. You're going to want to lose weight and get in shape and all those great things come January. Well, go to Age Rejuvenation right now. Get the testosterone therapy going. Get your testosterone level checked. They'll do the lab work. Their insurance will pay for it. And give yourself the gift of good health. Go to agerejuvenation.com. Sign up for that free consultation. They've got 5 Tampa Bay area locations to serve you. And why not look better, feel younger heading into the new year? Do what I did. Go to Age Rejuvenation.
Check it out, agerejuvenation.com. Before we get out of here, just want to remind everyone that for the Bucs versus Bengals game, we will have the Celsius Pewter Report tailgate show presented by Age Rejuvenation. It will be live from the Walk-Ons in Midtown on Sunday, followed by the Pewter Game Day show. So the tailgate show will start at 2:30, and then the game day show with myself and a guest giving our live reactions to everything going on. That will take place on when kickoff gets going at 4:25. Bucs have played good. They've played bad. We have fun regardless, all in between. So make sure you check it out. It's always a fun time. And then last but certainly not least, if you like our content here on our YouTube channel, our content over at pewterreport.com, do us a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's Pewter Report TV. We're really trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the Bucs season, which it's looking like it's going to end sooner rather than later, unless they get a big playoff run coming up. But if you like the live streams that we do, if you like the podcast, if you enjoy the clips that we put out from interviews and press conferences at the Bucs facility, just do us a favor and subscribe. Hit that like button. It's absolutely free. It just lets you know when we have new content out, and we're always putting up a lot of content. I mean, we do the show 4 times a week. Our live stream is 5 or 6 hours long. So you're always getting a ton of content with us. Would really appreciate it if you guys could do that. That'd be a big favor to us. As Pat says that he wants Scott as the head coach.
Do not want that job. I'll take the salary, and then I will fake an injury. I'll fake a heart attack or stroke or some type of malady, and just to cash in and
so you're gonna pull Urban Meyer.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I'll pull an Urban
Yeah.
Meyer and just collect the check and run. But yeah, do not want that job. Don't want the pressure. I'd rather report on this team than run it.
I'll take the Bruce consultant job. I'd be down.
Yeah, yeah, I'll take that too. Right, the Jason Light bartender role.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
Just
all over
make
that.
Make a couple drinks in the front office.
Yep. Appreciate.
Nathan
Look at
said- yeah.
Nathan. Appreciate you, Nathan. Thanks so much, man.
Nathan, you're the best. Thank you. Thank you very much for all your support of pewterreport.com. We greatly appreciate that. And we greatly appreciate everyone that's a part of history, because this was the greatest episode that we've ever done of the Pewter Report podcast.
Feel really good about it,
man.
man.
Try to top that on Wednesday's show when we preview the Bucs' next matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals, and if they can play any better than they did on Sunday against the 49ers. We'll see if they can rebound.
Yeah, it looks like
the
Bengals might be without Boyd and Higgins, two of their receivers, so that might help things, especially with this banged up secondary. But we'll have a full injury report coming on Wednesday after we're at One Buccaneer Place. So make sure you stay tuned to our next Pewter Report podcast, 4 o'clock Eastern Time, live here on Pewter Report TV.
Please do. So for Scott, I'm Matt saying thanks everybody for watching and listening, and we will see you on Wednesday for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Peace out. And happy birthday, Bob Barker, 99 years old.
Bob Barker. Price is right.